What if I were to tell you that you have never heard of one of the greatest high school basketball players of all time? What if I were to tell you that there was once a man who had a 50-inch vertical leap, was nearly at the same level of popularity in the city of Chicago as Michael Jordan, and was so good that Kevin Garnett even moved to Chicago just to play basketball with Ronnie Fields? Yes, Ronnie Fields was ranked just behind Kobe Bryant in the 1996 high school basketball rankings, but for some reason never played in the NBA. The only question is, why? So what's up guys, Mike here, and today we are going to be talking about not only one of the best dunkers in high school basketball history, but a man who as a senior was ranked third in the entire nation, and oh yeah, did I mention he had a 50-inch vertical. We're not talking about Lonzo Ball, we're not talking about Steph Curry here. Ronnie Fields had a 50-inch vertical and was an incredible basketball player, but for some reason he never played in the NBA. Now, before we get started, I do want to say make sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this video. It helps out a ton. Thank you. And with that said, let's jump into this video. Ronnie Fields started his quick ascension to superstardom during his freshman season in 1993 when he was ranked as the #1 freshman in the entire country by ESPN Rise. And during the final game of his freshman season, Ronnie would have 33 points and 10 dunks, an absurd feat for a young teenager. It was because of this insane combination of skill and athleticism that already made Ronnie one of the most exciting high school basketball players of all time, and for that reason, a skinny 6'11" five-star senior from South Carolina by the name of Kevin Garnett suddenly moved to Chicago to play at Farragut Academy with Ronnie Fields. This made Farragut an elite team immediately, and at the beginning of the 1995 season, Michael Jordan was still in retirement. So this meant that arguably this high school basketball team would become the most popular team in the city. Led by one of the top big men high school prospects of all time, combined with a player who had arguably the best leaping ability for a point guard prospect ever, Ronnie Fields and Kevin Garnett became rock stars in Chicago. Fans would line up blocks to see their games, and tickets that usually cost $5 would resell for $70. And looking at the games themselves, 7,000 fans would pack into gyms that were meant to only fit 200 people. Remember, this was the 90s, fire code violations must have been more lax, because today this would not be allowed to happen. And the thing is, while you might think that Kevin Garnett was the main attraction here, it was actually Ronnie Fields who most of the fans were coming to see. As Garnett recalled,
when Ronnie was on top, everybody named Mom wanted to be Ronnie Fields.
Future NBA star Mike Bibby was also a top high school prospect at that time, and he had this to say about Ronnie.
I still tell stories to this day about the guy. Seen him flying around, you know, it kind of remind you of Michael Jordan.
And quotes like this make sense, as Fields was a relentless point guard. Standing at 6'3" and weighing around 200 pounds, Fields combined otherworldly athleticism with a tenacious intensity on the defensive end. This led to an incredible all-around game, but if we're being real here, it was his dunking that really put Ronnie on the map. Because during his 4 seasons at Farragut Academy, Fields would dunk the ball a total of 372 times. That is an astronomical number for a point guard, and if you divide this number by 4, that means Ronnie averaged 93 dunks a season. And to go even further here, if you divide 93 dunks by 30, which is the number of games Ronnie played in his junior season, that means Fields averaged over 3 dunks a game for his high school career. And of course, there was the 50-inch vertical, which was reported by legitimate sources such as the Chicago Tribune. Now, to put this vertical into perspective, here is a chart of the top max vertical leaps in NBA draft combine history. When we compare this chart to Ronnie Fields, we can see that he far outranks the second man on this list, Kenny Greger. And so because of the athleticism, because of the vertical leap, and again, because of his overall skill, Ronnie Fields, alongside some help from Kevin Garnett, would go on to lead Farragut Academy to a 28-2 record in the 1995 season, and they would win the city championship against Carver High School by 9 points in front of 9,000 fans. However, in the state tournament, the team was upset in the quarterfinals, finals by a team that featured future NBA player Melvin Ely. And after that 1995 season, Garnett was off to the NBA, which meant that Ronnie was now a senior and it was solely the Ronnie Fields show. And Ronnie's senior season would get off to a ridiculous start when, in his first game, a truly immortal play would occur. Yes, we can see here that the 6'3" Ronnie would jump over defender Sergio McClain in a game. And by jump over, I mean he cleared Sergio by about a good 6 inches. From here, ridiculous dunk after ridiculous dunk would continue in Ronnie's senior season, and he was named a McDonald's All-American after averaging 32.4 points, 12.2 rebounds, 5.1 assists, 4.5 blocks, and 4.1 steals. Yes, the man averaged 12.2 rebounds and 4.5 blocks as a 6'3" point guard. He was truly, as someone has said, I'm not sure who, not human. And because of this outrageous stat line, Fields was ranked as the number 3 player in the country by Parade magazine for the 1996 class. Kobe was number 1 in this class, and Kobe won all the national awards, but the point I'm trying to make here is clear. Ronnie Fields was a national phenom, and Ronnie also had the supreme confidence that Kobe had at this time, because along with his athletic abilities, Ronnie was a highly intelligent basketball player with great court awareness. This is how KG described Ronnie's personality. Quote, Ronnie was a very flamboyant, outspoken guy. He was very confident. He had a lot of confidence in himself. He wasn't arrogant, but he had a lot of confidence in himself. So at this point, we have it all. We have an incredibly talented and confident basketball player who is so athletic that he had a reported 50-inch vertical. Combine this with his basketball IQ, and the question again pops up. How did a can't-miss prospect like Ronnie Fields miss? Well, the downfall would begin on the night of February 26th, 1996, when Ronnie was tragically involved in a car accident that left him with 3 broken vertebrae and a fracture at the base of his skull. This effectively ended Ronnie's senior season, and this injury was so bad that Fields would have to wear a halo around his head for a short time. But the thing is, it was deemed that this injury could have been a lot worse, and Ronnie was given an estimated time of 8 months of rehab, which would have given him enough time to prepare to play Division I basketball. And his first choice for where he wanted to play Division I basketball was his hometown DePaul University. And at first, Ronnie was all set up to play at DePaul, and Coach Joey Meyer was fully on board with Ronnie coming to play for the team. However, Ronnie would be deemed academically ineligible in July of 1996 after DePaul would inform Ronnie that his grades and test scores would not be good enough for admission. This would continue the streak of bad things to happen to Ronnie. However, this last one is on him, as just a few months later, he would plead guilty to a misdemeanor count of sexual abuse. So, unable to play college basketball and with his reputation stained, Fields' path to the NBA effectively ended here, which leaves us with one of the greatest what-if stories that we've ever seen in basketball history. At one point in time, Ronnie Fields was an electrifying, dominant high school point guard that was ranked as the number 3 player in his class. He should have been one of the greatest dunkers the NBA has ever seen. However, instead, because of an injury and because of some mistakes he made as a high schooler, Ronnie would never make it to the NBA. This story, though, does not have a tragic ending, because instead of being sad about everything that happened, Ronnie made the decision to make the best of his situation. He entered his name into the 1996 CBA minor league draft and was picked 73rd overall. Fields would go on to star in the CBA for many years, as for example, in the 2003 season, he was first in the entire league in points per game at 23.2. Fields would also get a chance to play in several countries overseas, such as Greece, and he would eventually retire after having played 10 plus years of professional basketball. So while he did not make the NBA, Ronnie would actually end up making a living for himself playing the game he loved. As Fields would say when looking back at his career, I'm still thankful. I had an amazing journey, and it's time to share. It's time to give